Here's the silver squeeze. There is more silver that trades in the futures market by far on a daily basis than is around for good delivery in a quarter. There are some days where the futures market trades 200 times the amount of silver available for good delivery. These things cash settle. uh, it's important to know that. If they don't cash settle, what happens is that the market gets halted, and then the exchange forces a cash settlement at their price.
Tying back into your intriguing opening comment about the silver market, December, it was great. I appreciate you sharing that story again of how during silver squeeze you cleared out the inventories, New York, Chicago, Boston, as I was reviewing earlier today, all of the piles we could find. Until then, you got accommodated by London and Zurich. So that's 2021. LBMA report comes out a couple months later, I believe in April, saying they were fears. We were, in their words, weeks away from running out. We've run a deficit since then. And then now the new thing that's happened since we last talked is we've seen this metal come out of London. Now some of it's still in New York, so it's not disappeared. But along with what you said in your opening statement about where you see silver headed, where does all of that leave us at this point now?
It's a function of your sense of time, Chris. Uh, if you're asking me the question around the concept of a silver squeeze, here's the silver squeeze. There is more silver that trades in the futures market by far on a daily basis than is around for good delivery in a quarter. There are some days where the futures market trades 200 times the amount of silver available for good delivery. These things cash settle. It's important to know that. If they don't cash settle, what happens is that the market gets halted, and then the exchange forces a cash settlement at their price. But if you're looking for a place that a silver squeeze takes place, it's in the over-leveraged nature of the futures market.
Yeah.
There are a lot of speculators who require immediate gratification. They carry about a 50-cent move in silver, and they actually believe that there is going to be a physical squeeze in silver that will force the institutions into the market in a big way. That won't happen. The futures exchanges operate in their own interest, in the interest of the dealers. If there is an ugly, ugly, ugly silver squeeze, which I think they could be, they will do what they do with the tin market. They will halt the market and they will cash settle at a level they choose. You mean they'll screw their customers? Of course they will. That doesn't mean that there isn't a boatload of money to be made in the silver business. I've been around this business for a very long time. And a silver bull market is truly a wonderful thing to behold. But don't tell yourself, don't set an artificial timeline. Don't say, oh, for sure it has to happen by Thanksgiving. Why? The silver market doesn't care about your time preference at all. The silver market doesn't care about the stop date, the start date. They don't care. But in my experience, I've been through 3 silver bull markets. The first one was a 30-bagger, and the next 2 were each 10-baggers. Do I really care if it takes 2 years to get there? 3 years to get there? Put any discount you want in terms of the time value of money. Never mind a 10-bagger. A 3-bagger pays you a lot of rent.
Yeah.
And I think it's a probability as opposed to a possibility that we get a silver bull market, a silver breakout.
Yeah, and I certainly agree with what you said about the timing there. And I think fortunately I can say I learned that one back in the teens. So I got a decade. Like I've learned that, the first couple of years before that were a little painful. Although, Rick, we just got the recent silver report, World Silver Survey. they showed 150 to 200 million ounce deficit, depending on if you include ETFs. Something I've been wondering about, let's say that there was some scenario where silver price goes to 50 or $60 in some manner that all the pools of capital and entrepreneurs and mining executives are not thinking, all right, it's going to go back down. But somehow, I don't know what scenario that could be. Let's assume it gets to that level and they think it's going to stay there. How much how much production do you think could be turned on just by the higher price alone? We'll leave aside the time gap, but
Functionally, none. Uh, Silver mines are a fairly small component to silver production.
right.
The lowest cost production of silver is as an adjunct of mining for other metals. And it's important to remember in terms of the cost structure that silver miners pay to mine silver, but copper miners don't. They get it effectively for free out of the product stream. The other thing is that we do not now know, and we have never known, what the above ground supplies of silver are. What we do know is that high silver prices that are sustained brings that supply out. If you have a sense of history, you will remember back to the point in time when none other than Warren Buffett, who regards precious metals as pet rocks, bought between 15 and 20% of the world's reported above ground supplies of silver. And that imprimatur caused the silver market to go absolutely crazy. And 8, 9, 12, 15 months, something like that, all of a sudden the market got whacked. And of course, the precious metal guys said, oh, conspiracy, right? The banks or the international Jewish conspiracy or some, trilateral commission. That's not what happened. What happened was that India had a bad harvest or something like that. The silver price doubled in US dollar terms, and the rupiah fell by half against the US dollar. So the silver price in Indian terms went up fourfold, and that corresponded to a bad harvest, where the Indian peasantries had a choice between letting their children starve or selling their silver. The point is that the cure for high prices is always high prices. There is a lot of above ground inventory. Nobody knows how big it is. Nobody knows. But one can be assured, particularly if there's weakness in the Indian currency, which seems to be epidemic, it seems to be a continuum, that at some price, some of that Indian inventory will find its way from India to Dubai, into refiners, and will find its way here. But I don't think that happens under a 50 handle, might not happen under a 75 handle. It takes a good stout move. It took 100% move in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, and one other question along those lines, just in terms of, let's say stuff was turned on, can you give a time or time range rather of just so people can understand how long it takes from, let's say, a new project that you're out exploring till that actually gets into production?
Well, if it's in the United States, permitting can take 20 years. That's before you build it. If you do it in the free world, somewhere like Peru, well, actually, it could take you 3 years to get a drilling permit in Peru. Suffice it to say, we don't have a lot of silver discoveries. There are 3 large undeveloped silver deposits that I know of in the world. Those could be turned into production or returned to production in the case of Cascabel very quickly. But beyond that, you're talking, well, first of all, you have to discover the stuff because there aren't very many discoveries made. Then you have to permit it, then you have to finance it, then you have to build it, then you have to turn it on. A decade is a conservative estimate.
Okay.
Now you have some good deposits that I haven't talked about. You have 3 good deposits that I haven't talked about. And you have maybe 20 marginal deposits. Those marginal deposits would, of course, get skated on side with a $50 or $60 silver price. But remember that primary silver production is 17 or 18% of total silver supply. The supply that comes from primary production kind of doesn't make a difference
Right.
to the overall silver market. Higher silver prices probably constrain industrial demand. Using silver as a germicide, using silver as a water treatment mechanism, using silver for photovoltaic cells. If the price of silver doubles or triples, the fabricators find a way to use silver more efficiently. So you need to understand that. But in my experience, what moves silver is the generalist investor becoming attracted to the precious metals narrative and coming into our space. There is never enough supply to cover that demand for some period of time. And the response is that the price explodes. And ironically, for a while, when that price explodes, which is to say the prices go higher, it attracts more demand. As irrelevant as that, I mean, as hard to believe as that is, it's true. If you were shopping for a winter coat and they doubled the price, you'd be less inclined to buy. But when people buy financial assets and somebody doubles the prices, they're more inclined to buy. Stupid, but true.